Today on the Inchstones podcast, I have Cassie and Chuck Wicks here. Cassie came into my life just as a fellow fun mom friend who she and I share a soulmate, but we don't need to talk about Kristen right now. Cassie and Chuck are here today because we share something else. We both have young, little, perfect, autistic little boys. Cassie and Chuck, thank you so much for being here to vulnerably share your story and also talk about these amazingly incredible little people, little humans we created that we were not expecting and yet become the lifelines, undirected points of our lives. So Cassie and Chuck, thank you for being here today.
Thanks for having us. Yes. It's definitely been a journey. You're like, I feel like my crutch, like my go-to person, because I've seen your journey for so many years. And then we were facing a similar situation. I was like, I don't know what to do here. So you were definitely my first phone call. And so I'm so thankful for you. And I'm going to try not to get emotional.
I know we're going to be sponsored by Kleenex after this.
I know. But truly your story and how you have been so open about your journey and just, the challenges that can come along with that too. That was really helpful. Even before we got the autism diagnosis with Tucker, it helped open my eyes to what was going on with him because you were so open. And then, further looking into other people's stories. So hopefully, if anything, this helps others who may be facing a new diagnosis or are in the thick of it. And we're just all in it together, right?
Share about what that looked like for you. Because, I remember, Kristen going to visit you and coming back and going, Cassie's going to give you a call. And I remember thinking, what is she going to give me a call about? Talk to me about what it felt like as a couple when you started to notice, we're not really sure what waters we're treading in right now.
I think for me, I started noticing it on my own first because I am so close to you and Kristen. So my eyes were kind of already open and having other children, I had sisters before. So I just knew I knew he was a boy, but I'm like, something still just doesn't feel right. And I couldn't put my finger on what it was exactly at first because he was so little. And then, so I feel like I was internally processing it for a while. And then I would show Chuck videos. I'm like, look at this kid, look at this. And, so he's like, yeah, but I don't know. He had a little more hesitation in the beginning than I did. Because once I knew, I was like, I know this is it. And we need to figure out what's going on exactly.
When you find out your son's on the spectrum for autism, you're like, what does that mean? It's kind of freaks you out. We knew Tucker had delayed speech for sure. And he would stem a lot. You get overstimulated and start screaming with his hands at a really young age. And I knew that was different. I'm like, that is different. I'm not sure what that means. And when we got the diagnosis, it was just immediately for me, I was just like, great, let's go. Let's tackle it. What do we got to do? Because, Tucker's my guy. He's my dude. Tucker is a miracle for us. I mean, go back before he was even trying to be born. We had to do, IVF and, long story short, I only had one sperm and it was Tucker. We literally won. Yeah, we had one viable sperm through the IVF process and the one egg that fertilized it. So it was Tucker. So from day one, Tucker has been our guy, our miracle boy. Even right before he was born, I think it was maybe 2 weeks or 3 weeks. We took the last ultrasound and the doctor says, hey, his arms are at a 1 percentile as far as how big they should be. And we're like, well, what does that mean? Because this is the first time we've ever heard this in the pregnancy. He goes, well, he might come out with no arm. They really small arm. So we've had hurdles from day one, so nothing, but no matter what the hurdle was, we're always like, hey, this is our guy, this is our boy, let's go, we'll tackle it. So it's tough to hear anything because you want your child, you want him to be completely healthy, no problems, no setbacks, everything normal, all the same opportunities as everybody else. But, you know, Cassie and I have been a great team with this. And I think that's what makes the world go round, is that Tucker, we're not going anywhere, and we're going to be right by his side. We're going to be lifting him up to succeed the best he can, as fast as he can on his time frame. We get impatient. We want him to talk right now. We want him to have sentences and words and all those things. And he does have words, and we have seen him grow throughout his life. And we've seen very positive things happening for him, which is very exciting. But there are times where it gets tough, that's when we just lean on each other and we lean into him. Because if you let your child be who they are and you follow their lead, you drop expectations and you're just like, show me who you are.
Show me who you are. It's the gift of a lifetime as a parent to witness your child show you who they are.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of those.
By the way, he's a lover. He's like the biggest lover.
Oh, I'm sure. Well, I always say, what's these little boys being the youngest and the only boy of a family, and what is autism? I'm like, they're just such little love bugs. But Chuck, you're right. That was one of the reasons that the term Inchstones popped up for me a number of years ago. Was I was constantly battling this forced development timeline from a medical or typical worldview of raising children. And I thought, why am I not allowed to lean into let Millie show me her developmental pattern versus an earlier version of her? I'm not here to compare myself to what the woman next door is doing and crushing it in different ways. Like, I'm just looking to see what I'm doing versus a past version of myself, and if I'm proud of myself. So to get to celebrate that, it seems like you guys caught that same kind of vibe early on.
Yeah. And it has to go back to every child is different. And there's a saying where if you comparing yourself to others, you're robbing yourself of the joy that you're actually accomplishing yourself. And I always go back. I mean, as a guy, I go back to, like, I played baseball my whole life, right? I remember being in 5th grade, and this guy next to me in 5th grade was hitting home runs left and right. Well, I didn't really figure out how to hit home runs until I was a sophomore in high school. But then I was a better hitter than he was. So it's like where the development process is different in all types of things. And that's the approach that I take, being an athlete or a former athlete, and she's an athlete. So we kind of lean on each other with those things. And there are days
not to say that it's perfect and we're always just like so optimistic and all that, right?
I'm sure there's the oscillating of days, right?
Yeah.
You're able to understand your strength in that way.
And I think Chuck is very optimistic with everything. He's like so positive with everything he does in life. And so for me, in the beginning, it was like, it crushed my everything. And so for me, it was like getting the diagnosis. I knew it already, and it was fine. Like, it was official. That was a mourning phase for me.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, like, I can't believe this is happening to us.
Right.
Like, I don't know how they even deal with this. I don't know where do I start. Like, because you want to give them like everything to give them the best opportunity and to be able to communicate and everything. And so
in the beginning, we were on complete opposite pages. He was, the world is ending. I was like, no, it's not. Listen,
like, this is great. Like, he's still him.
I'm like, look at him. Look at him. Literally, like, if we ever get down, I'm like, just
look at him.
Look at him.
Look at him.
Yeah. He is literally has a popsicle, watching Mickey Mouse, smiling. I'm like,
honestly, he's living his best life. Like, you better catch up. If you take a look at them and really look at them, they have so much to teach us about just being who they are.
Yeah.
He's like, I got a popsicle, Mickey Mouse Clubhouse. Everyone that loves me is around me. Like, what is there to even worry about, guys? Like,
and it's definitely changed who I am as a person too. 'Cause I was one of the perfect life. Like, my kids have always been like pretty perfect, and we go to all the events and all the parties, and I've never had any issues. So now, like, it is a little different. Like, we have to think about like what events we go to, and do we bring Tucker or not? And if we are, like, we just know, even like a kid's birthday party, I mean, it feels different than it did before.
Yes, it does.
So it's not, you don't just let them go and play, and we're with the adults. So I'm with them time. And So it's changed who I am. This is kind of like all he knows in raising a kid because it's his first. Oh, he's totally fine with it. But I have those moments where I'm like, this is different. But I mean, not to say we don't do these things. Like we do it all, right? We're still going.
Well, that's what I love about y'all too, is that, one of the biggest things that I mirror is choosing to interact over isolate. Tucker being who he is, and the world's reaction to Tucker, Millie, and Mac, and all the other little autistic kids that are just trying to grow and develop, the world's reaction to them being who they are really isn't our problem, right? And it can also be really hard. And like you said, the grief timeline of that, because there are those moments, I'm sure, at parties, because we choose to interact so much, I think we get pangs of the, oh man, yep, okay, regroup.
Well, sometimes you feel like you have to explain yourself. You're like, do I have to explain myself this time? Or can we just be normal and like, just let's just go with it? Like, he's just going to be play. But sometimes you can tell like a parent's trying to figure out what's going on. So you feel like you have to explain yourself and him. And so it's just figuring it all out. You figure it out.
And so that's where we're different as well. It's like, she overanalyzes and overthinks it, right? And so, but I'm more of like, I don't really care. Like, I don't care what you think. And if something comes up, I'm like, yep, he's nonverbal autistic. I'm like, we're getting through it. We're figuring it out. I was like, and I'll just be like, he'll talk when he wants to talk. I was like, and every once in a while, like, see what he's, I'll literally just be like, call it what it is. I'm like, see what he's doing right now. Like, we'll be at a birthday party. Like, see what he's doing right now. He's like, he's just overstimulated. He's just figuring it out. He's regulating his body. So, and I just speak to the point, factual about it. And then it's up to the other person if they get it. Like, if they don't get it, that's fine too. But I often tell a lot of my friends sometimes is if it comes up and we're in that situation, I'll be like, it's pretty cool. You get to have a conversation with your kid. Right?
Yeah. Oh, yes.
Like, think about that. Because right now we can't have a true conversation with Tucker. But I also, and if there's people watching this, I also have a belief in faith, a strong belief in faith, and that it will come around, and there will be a day where I do have a full conversation with Tucker.
Oh, yeah.
And whenever that is going to happen, it's going to happen. But that's on Tucker's timeline. And we are having conversations with him.
That's the thing I was going to say. Yeah, I mean, there's almost the skill set, the senses. I get so much from a glance. I get so much from a giggle. And I really believe this, that like connecting with Millie and Mac, and when I get to meet Tucker in person, that it is a thin veil of heaven. I really believe it to be true, because it is in that small fraction of a second that I am noticing who that child is, and they know they are so loved. And it doesn't have to be spoken. It can be the giggle, but I realize the luxury in learning about my child like this, right? No one chooses it. I always say, like, no woman in her 30s wakes up and goes, you know what, I want 2 children with non-speaking autism. Like, it's not what you ever would choose. I know that you guys get it. I know that you guys get it.
Yeah, it's, it's interesting. And, as people that are interested in this conversation are probably doing what we're doing, and we're looking everywhere for solutions, right? And I believe there is solutions out there. I mean, it starts with gut health. It starts
absolutely
with, therapies that Cassie and I are going to. We're going up to Des Moines, Iowa at the beginning of the year, and we have a 2-week intensive red light therapy, hyperbaric chamber. Like, we're doing this. We're doing everything that we possibly can that we feel is also healthy for our child. And we'll push them in the right direction to help them succeed in the best way possible.
Totally. I know that you guys have a ton of wonderful family support. How is that in terms of just getting them accustomed to what a day-to-day might look like, and sort of accepting this? And how has that, shaped your extended family and, travel and day-to-days?
Well, one, we're super blessed because we have parents that live, right next door to us, essentially. So they have been a part of his daily life since the day he was born. So they've been through this entire process with us. So I would say, like, they're the ones, them and Avery, who lives in the house with us, they get it just as much as we do, and even sometimes, my dad, who lives, he sees him every day. I watched him while we were out of the country for a week. And he was like, I have so much more respect for you guys. Like, because when you're really, I mean, he does see him, but he's not caring for him all day, every day. And so when he did that, he's like, I just had no idea how much goes into it, especially at night with him sleeping or not sleeping and just all the routines and just structure that he needs. But, and then like on the flip side, his parents live in Florida. And so it is a little different because they're not around him all the time. So
they don't, it's like it's just little things, right? I mean, and again, I know we're specifically talking about Tucker and autism, but there are other children out there that have different issues outside of autism that other parents have to deal with or try to figure like, hey, this is what's happening in my child's life. And so when we go take a picture, the family picture, everyone needs to be ready because you got about 2 seconds.
Oh yeah,
to get a good picture.
100%.
And then after that, I don't know what's going to happen. So it's just like little things here and there. The spectrum can be way up here or way down here. So it's like, what are we dealing with here and what's going on? That's why when you say, I have an autistic son or daughter, could mean so many things. But the best thing, the most common thing is they just need to be loved and they need to be positioned in a place so they can succeed in the best possible way for them.
How do you both feel like your own upbringing has impacted how beautifully you and openly accept Tucker for who he is? Because you guys both have a mindset that can be both, like Cass, we both experienced that typical, like, wait a second, this is not what I thought my life was to be. And yet we both have done the work to dig deep. And Chuck, it sounds like you've done the same. Does that come from your upbringing? Because there's a lot of special needs parents that don't find that common ground.
Well, I think both of us have been lucky that our parents were like all in with us, no matter what it was that we were doing or going through in life. I mean, my parents have supported my brother and I, like any crazy idea we wanted to do or, wanted to pursue, they were all in. And so I think just like that is part of it. It's like our kids are our everything. And so we want to give them everything that we can possibly give them to give them the best life that they want, right? Or need. And so I think it does. And his parents were the same way. I mean, when he moved to Florida from Delaware to, play baseball in college, like his grandparents moved down and his parents followed him. So everyone's like all in with him or me. And so I think
a real modeling, a real family modeling.
Yeah. And then like, they're still super involved. Like our parents are so involved. Our extended families are super involved. It's been cool. Like my aunts and cousins, like we've never experienced this in our family. So there's lots of questions and like everyone's learning how to navigate it. And like, I mean, so accepting of Tucker and like, but they want to be a part of it. And like, how can we help? How can we understand?
That family and leaning in is not just the parents. It is your crew. It has been what has both been modeled to you even before you guys were a couple.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think parenting is lead by example and they'll follow. And I think that's kind of what we're doing now with Tucker is that we just try to do everything with them. And, we don't try to isolate him or keep him away from certain things because we're scared to or whatever. We just say, no, let's go. We're doing this because he's got to. He has to.
Yes.
And he'll learn. He's the best thing about watching Tucker is that he is super smart. Like that kid, he is so smart in different ways than I was as a kid, I was kind of a weird kid. I was weird. Like I did weird stuff as a kid. Like my mom said, Chuck, you didn't talk to, this is where my background, this is kind of where I'm like more lazy with it. Mom's like, oh, you didn't talk to your 4, Chuck. I'm like, well, maybe I was autistic. I've seen him.
Tell us. Until after Tucker got his diagnosis.
Well,
and
that's always so funny, right?
Wait a minute.
You're like,
yeah.
Right? I know. Yeah.
I had a weird tick. Like I used to have to be, it was so odd. I can say it's weird if it was me.
Right.
I would have to take my hand, I would take a drink,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and then I have to go like this to like kind of wipe it clear.
And it's like, you don't know why you did it, but you were also a kid just figuring your body. And if your body was like, that makes me feel better, then I do it. And it's not hurting
Yes.
anyone.
So
you know?
I actually, from that standpoint, when I see Tucker try to regulate his body, I'm like, okay, I kind of get what you're doing, dude. I get what you're trying to do right now. So we're just, you know, and I always have this mindset. I'm like, what he's doing right now, he's going to grow out of it. I just, something in my gut says the regulating of the body, ticks and all that stuff that he has to do to feel better in his own skin. I'm like, I don't know what it is about my gut feeling on that. I'm like, he's going to grow out of that. I don't know when he's going to grow out of it, but he's definitely going to grow out of that. He's not going to do that when he's 18 years old. He's going to be like,
I couldn't agree more. I mean, it's something that you watch and you go, I see how my child is developing, and you have even intuition about things. And I believe those to be so true. So very true.
I will say he's got a jump rope deal right now.
Yeah.
That is miserable on airplanes. It's the loudest jump rope. Like when you get on an airplane, there's 5 people that can relate to this that are watching, is that like, all right, if you're watching a show, let's make sure that volume's all the way down. Put your headphones on. I'm like, Tucker will not wear headphones.
No. Like, you're lucky if that seatbelt gets on. You're lucky.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly.
Go ahead and put the seatbelt on. And then they come over. Hey, buddy, put your seatbelt on. I'm like, that's not, I'm like,
you're like, I'd love for you to try.
Yep.
And I will say it has been nice. We have flown a lot recently, and some of the flight attendants, you can tell they're like, they figure out something that's going on. They're like, you know what? If you can just get him in your lap and hold him.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because he's way too big for that. And we've had some people like, no, he cannot sit in your lap. He has to sit there, you know, and you're like, okay, like let's hear screaming for 30 minutes. But there have been some really sweet ladies that have been like, if you can just get him under control, get him in your lap. And you're just like so appreciative in those moments. You're like, okay, you see me? Thank you.
I think there's a real humanity that can be seen when you interact more and more with your autistic children. And I feel the same way about flights. I absolutely think that 99.9% of this world is like, you see the beauty of humanity. And I mean, I carry $5 Starbucks gift cards when I fly, and I give them around to people going, if they don't bother you, and there's nothing, it's a free latte on me. And if they do, it's a free latte on me.
Yeah, it can be very interesting, but I always have the mindset of like, they're going to be this little for like a little bit. And we enjoy every single moment. We enjoy, even when he just recently woke up at 1:30, doesn't want to go to bed till 5. We got to work the next day. We
calls our face.
That right now, like he gets so frustrated. So Tucker will get so frustrated and he can't voice what he wants. So he doesn't know how to explain it. So he gets mad and he wants to like scratch it like this. And that can be tough. That can be because, you know, he's not trying to be mean. He's just frustrated, and your heart goes out to him. And you may have just got clawed. I mean, she's got scars on her face, literally. I mean, he's got like marks on her, and you just have to be like woosah and like just
like I always say, like all behavior is communication. Like everything that they do is trying to let you know who they are and what they need.
Yeah.
You know, like their prefrontal cortex isn't closed, and they will find a way to get their point across. And it doesn't mean that they're malicious. There's not a bad bone in these kids' bodies at all. I'm sure you feel this way based on what you shared already, but I believe that they have a capacity for love that is actually much greater than autistic children are typically given credit for. I actually think they feel an immense amount of empathy and love.
Yeah, we think about that a lot. I think we feel very blessed with Tucker. We know he's on the spectrum for autism, but I wouldn't change anything in the world who my son is. I adore every facet of who he is, and you know, he's
dude.
He's your dude. Tell me about, because you know, Inchstones is what I love to talk about mostly. Tell me about the recent Inchstones for Tucker. What are some recent little wins that you found?
Well, funny enough, we just did an OT evaluation yesterday, and so like, you know, we see his stuff he can do at home, and at home he eats with his hands and all
Yeah.
of And so we were at the OT and she has a fork. He's picking up Play-Doh, stabbing it, and I'm like, wait a minute, he can do this? Like, he can actually do it? And so,
and he was so ornery about it. So he would be,
Yeah, right.
he would do it, right? And they were like,
Right.
all right, we're all done. Let's go over here. You can play a little bit. So he plays a little bit and he's having a blast. He's smiling, he's laughing. He's like, yeah, I'm bouncing on my ball. He goes, okay, all done. Let's go back to work. And he's just like, "Ugh." And then he pouts, goes over.
Yeah,
like,
he's like,
literally stomped over, sat in the chair, and was like, grabbing the floor. And I'm like,
he's like, fine, I'll do this for
but
you
he did not
people.
fight. I was like, wait a minute, that worked for you? All done? And he was like, no, my way. And she's
Yeah.
like, not right now. Fist bump. He gives a fist bump, and he's like, touts and walks over. So
Yeah.
Max sits in his little chair. He looks so cute. And we're like, this is the cutest thing I've ever seen in my life.
Being able to have a typical child and autistic children, you're so keenly aware of getting to see him like playing, then like, all right, back to work. And he's like, I gotta freaking go back and do this for them. And like,
so mad, but he's doing it. He's listening.
it's like, their receptive language is so high and they're so darn smart that they're like, my body doesn't want to do this right now, but I'm going to keep trying because I love my mom and dad and I love myself and they love me.
And that's what we love seeing is that like he is capable of anything. It's just a different, he's right now, currently, he has a different way to learn it.
Yes.
And that's the key is like I will say Tucker has a different way of understanding to get from point A to point B. And it's our job to figure that out. How do we do that for you?
Yep.
How do we do that for you, buddy? Do we need to take you? Okay, we're going to go to OT, occupational therapy. Great, let's do it. We're going to do that. We're going to do it Monday through Friday, and you're going to crush it.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, you're going to be 6 years old. We're going to look back and be like, man, we've come so far.
Totally.
And those are the little wins. He did something the other day. We were cooking mac and cheese for him. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Very picky eater, by the way. We just go with
is what it is.
And which is tough because you hear all about gut health. You're like, well, he won't eat that stuff,
Yeah.
So he did something the other day and I said, get your plate, buddy, get your plate.
Mm-hmm.
He knows what drawer it's in. He gets his plate out, hands it to mom. I go, give it to mommy, gives it to mommy. And I looked at Cassie and I go, there was a time where we thought he would never do that.
Never follow an instruction.
Yeah. He would never go know what a plate is, where to go get it, pick it up, to walk it. There was a time he could not do that. When he was
not that long ago.
But when he was
not that long ago, right.
When he normally, as in a normal child that is not autistic, they could do that. So I'm not saying like, oh, he was 6 months old. No. There was a time he couldn't do that when he was supposed to be doing that. And now he can do it. So it's just building blocks.
It is. And again, I think the love and the ROI of you and parents like us leading our children to be celebrated for who they are lies in that fragment of a second where you are like, I always say it's like a gasp of like, they did it. Like, and
you didn't say ROI.
Yeah. It is the ROI.
Such a businesswoman.
It's no. Oh my God, I'm gonna get so shamed for this too because I left the business world years ago.
Return on investment.
Listen. It is though. It is. It's like the heart's ROI, Chuck. Heart's ROI.
It really is.
No, but it fills my bucket. Being able to to hear when other parents share that because that's what I wish I could inject when people maybe feel bad for our family or go, oh, and you're like, no. Don't because the all actually is that like yesterday when something like the plate or the spoon or Millie putting her juice box in the trash and not the sink, I look at her, I'm like, I am so proud of you. You literally put it in the trash can. Like, that is so like, when do you find a typical parent of a 9-year-old saying that? Right.
Right.
You don't take any of that for granted and not to be able to show up for these kids and love them for who they are is the greatest gift. So
I appreciate you saying that. And I think the worst thing a parent can do is ignore their child and just stay on their phone the whole time or just be too busy for them or don't when you take trips, maybe take trips together as a family. I mean, it's important for us to have, it's important for marriages to have a marriage.
Yes.
Spend time with your children because we are in a situation where we don't we have to pay attention.
Exactly.
Does that make sense?
Exactly. Oh, I totally agree. It's
Like-
like we have no other choice but to pay attention.
Like we're not in the luxury of being like, yeah, Tucker's in the other room.
Oh no.
We're not really in that. I mean, we could do that, I guess, but, and I'm not
Maybe.
saying I'm not trying to be like, well, don't be a helicopter parent. No, we don't have the luxury of doing that because we can't say, hey, Tucker, and he can't go, what's up, Dad? Like,
Exactly.
we're not in that situation. So we have to keep eyes on him. And dude, Tucker will be playing with a toy. And if he gets the urge to run,
Oh, he's out of there.
he will run 3 miles that way.
Yeah. I
We
mean,
just have to watch. I mean,
Yeah.
it doesn't necessarily have to be attached to autism, but
no,
that's who he
it's
is.
real. It's real. And it's this beautiful impulsivity to what they're drawn to. And it can be scary, but like, yeah, we have to, I always say like option A, parenting does not exist for us with Tucker, Millie, and Mac. Like option A parenting is they're in the room, they're playing something. Hey, go grab, blah, blah, blah. All right, yep, I'll do that, Dad and Mom. Option B is all I know when it comes to them. So let's kick the crap out of it. Let's do option B as best as we can and show that it's actually a totally different world. And it's really wonderful. It just looks a lot different. And you can't understand it until you go through it. I think many really deeply hard things in life are, but I think that those of us that know great pain also know great joy. And I think it's very relative.
we have purposely, and we're starting to let him like just wander without us following him. We purposely like, oh, he's going upstairs. This should be good.
Yeah.
And then we kind of wait, and we're like, he's still upstairs. Okay, we still kind of hear the jump rope hitting the. But if it gets quiet, we're running up.
Right. Well, you have to look on Cassie's phone when she posted a picture of him somewhere standing, and you're like, oh my God, I just had a heart attack. And I'm like, here's what's going on in New Jersey right now. And it's like, my son is literally in the top part of his closet on the 4th shelf, tucked in the corner with his Daniel Tiger toy, and he's happy. He's like, what? This is fine. Like, I don't know what's the problem here.
Yeah.
What's the issue? Yeah.
Like what's the issue?
So
They are.
I mean, again, every kid's different, whether they have autism or not. And you just gotta, you gotta let them be who they are. And, if there's people out there watching that are unsure, like, oh, maybe my son or daughter is autistic, go get them tested. I mean, just go figure it out. The earlier you detect, and I give credit to Cassie because I probably now would just be like, as a father, being like, man, something's off about Tucker.
Right.
He's not speaking yet. She was like a year in. He was a year old. She was like, something's wrong. We got to take him. I'm like, no, he's fine. Give it a minute. He's just doing his own thing. He'll figure it out. Credit to Cassie for just being.
We have an appointment.
Yeah.
You're more than welcome to come.
Right.
Because the sooner you detect it, some of these delays that they have, whatever it is, you can help course correct those.
Exactly. I mean, the brain is so malleable under 5 years old.
Yes.
And so, and with that, diagnosis, there are so many more resources you can get for that. Well, and I don't know that he would be in the place he is right now had we not been doing all the things we've been doing.
Absolutely.
For 2 years, right? So, it's trial and error. Like we started in one place and then we're like, okay, this other place makes more sense. We thought we would maybe try a typical school, like a preschool, a couple of days a week this year. So we were all excited about that.
It lasted 6 hours.
That's okay. Listen, Tucker's like,
But honestly,
out of here.
it wasn't him. It
wasn't him.
It was the staffing and all of that. And I just feel like they weren't ready to handle somebody like Tucker. That's okay. It was hard to deal with, but it's all trial and error of what works for them or our family. And
it's not a Tucker problem. It's a preconditioned notion problem that we as people in our 40s have, right? It's never about the kids having an issue. It's about adults having preconceived conditioned notions. So what would be one thing that you guys would say to parents that are really scared, and their child is exhibiting these symptoms and they're scared? What would you guys say to them?
I would say your feelings are valid. Like those are valid feelings, but I think you have to just stay focused and just like kind of course correct yourself as well. And just, you're all in with this child and know that there is so much joy, right? In everything. And like, you're just going to see life as a whole totally different, right? And every little win, I don't know, like everything is like so big to us now and so exciting. So you have that to look forward to, and you're going to see changes. You're going to see positive changes. They might not be how you expected them to be or as quickly as you want them, but like it comes and it's huge wins.
Yeah. I mean, to piggyback off that, I would say it's okay to be scared. It won't be the first time. It won't be the last time. And I think if you embrace what's happening in your child's life, whatever it is, and you help give them the resources that they need to be themselves in the best light possible, just do that. Just love your kids. I mean, it's that simple. Like, if you love your kids, love your kids and you'll do the right thing.
Yep. Just keep doing the next right thing. I always say that. It's like, don't think too far ahead. Just do the next right thing for them.
Yeah. Yeah, because you can really get in the weeds of that.
You can really get in the weeds about that. And it's not worth any of the energy.
Start thinking 10 years down the road or 15 years. Like really, that is like stay focused here and now and like enjoy this moment.
Well, isn't it ironic that so many books and so many talks and so many keynote speakers are all focused on mindfulness, and yet you want to become mindful, birth yourself an autistic child. I would never be this mindful of every day and this beautiful sunrise I get out of I wouldn't be that mindful if I wasn't forced to be so mindful, if that makes sense. It's the muscle memory, right? It's like, even when I'm not around them, I'm more mindful because I have to practice it around them,
Well, and embrace your child.
Yes.
Like, we don't know what it is yet, but Tucker has a superpower.
Oh, yes, he does. Oh, yes. Yep. Oh, there you go. Yep. All good. Tucker has a superpower.
And we don't know what it is yet, but Tucker does have a superpower. We're going to figure it out at some point. I don't know if he's going to fly. I don't know.
Okay.
He's got a superpower.
What would you guess right now is it?
He just like laughs all the time. We're like, what's so funny?
He's like, y'all are crazy. That's what's so funny.
Basically,
right?
Yeah. I don't know what his superpower is, but I do know that he's full of love. And I think especially when we see him smile and laugh and see how happy he is and healthy he is, that's when you're just like, you just kind of stop worrying. Like, stop worrying and just embrace and love. And that's all you can do.
Well, Cassie and Chuck Wicks, thank you endlessly for your vulnerability and sharing this with you, because it takes a lot to talk about this, not only just emote and live it, but it takes a lot to talk about it. I think that what you're doing and how you're leading not only Tucker, but your whole family is so beautiful.
Well, thank you. We have not wanted to talk about this, or me in particular, just because I'm so protective of Tucker and I feel like I need to just give him a big hug all the time. So, I do hope that people realize that, it's not the end of the world. If you have an autistic son or daughter, it's okay.
You have an autistic son or daughter.
Like, it's okay. It's not the end of the world. Embrace them, love them. They are your child. They are your miracle. They are God's miracle. And let's go. Let's go have fun together.
Let's go.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, thank you. Yes, thank you. And I hope this has been helpful for other people as well.
It's helpful for us.
It is. It is helpful for us to talk about it as well. But we haven't quite known how to like really put it out there to the world. So, obviously people know, but we're trying to figure out, the best way on that as well and be protective of Tucker. But exactly.
All right. Well, until next time on the Inchstones podcast.